Hello friends, Miss Holt here today with you to talk about some different oil pastel techniques. I'm going to be using this kind of layout to work in some of these different techniques. The first technique we're going to talk about are blends. A blend is where one color or one hue gradiates or transitions into another. So the first rectangle at the top, we're going to do a hue, which is just another name for color, and we're going to fade that into the white. So we're going to use really heavy pressure on the left side, and as we move towards that white side, we're lifting up and lightening that pressure. When we go back with our white and work into the hue, we can give it some pressure, and that white is going to help blend that green together. So here's an example using blue. Now we're going to use our black, same situation. You always want to start with the darker color or the darker tone. So obviously black is darker than that, than the color we're going to be using. So again, I'm using a lot of pressure, making it really dark and heavy on the left side, and then as I move towards the right, I'm lightening up that pressure. Going back in with the purple, we're going to do a darker or a solid blend towards that black. And as they layer, when you layer that lighter color on top of the darker color, it gives you a really nice blended effect. If your oil pastel gets kind of yucky where you've blended over that black, you can use a paper towel and just kind of wipe it off. Here we're doing a black to the pure hue color and then transitioning into that white. So again, I placed the black down with the hardest pressure. You're always fading up into the next color that you're blending into and lightening that pressure. Going back over with the white to blend in on top of that orange. And you can also layer your oil pastels. So you can layer some of the orange back on top to create a more smooth transition. A heavy pressure blend is exactly what it says. So you're going to choose two hues or two colors and you're going to use a heavy pressure the whole way down. So I'm doing half of my rectangle in this purple color and the other half in this red. And I'm going to use a heavy pressure blend where they overlap to create that kind of red-violet tone. Again, you can layer that darker color on top to create more of a smooth blend. The last stage is called, or the last blend we're going to talk about is a smooth blend, and that is when you are using a tool like your finger or a Q-tip or a paper towel to blend the colors together. So you're using that tool to create a smooth blend. The next technique we're going to talk about is called sgraffito, and sgraffito refers to scratching into color. So the first step in doing a sgraffito technique is to layer down a color of oil pastel first. So you can see I'm laying down this green. I did layer a couple other colors on top of that. Then you're going to take your scratching tool, could be a paper clip is what I'm using here. There are actual sgraffito tools. A paper clip works just fine. You can scratch into the color you've laid down and it gives you this really unique texture to use. It's great for like long grasses or hair, those types of things. The next technique we're going to talk about is the exact opposite of sgraffito. It's called etching. So that's where you're going to take your sharp tool or your paper clip, whatever you're using, and scratch into the paper first. Whatever kind of design or line work you want, you're scratching into that paper first, and then you can color on top of it, and where you've scratched is going to give you that white look. Layering is our next technique. It's exactly what it says, is where you're using that heavy pressure blend to layer multiple colors on top of each other. Our last technique is called stippling, and that is where you are using colors to kind of bounce the color onto the paper. So I'm creating these kind of dots using my oil pastels. I'm also layering different colors together. That's going to give you the best result in this technique is when you're layering multiple colors. It gives you a really unique texture. The closer your dots are together, the darker that color or that tint is going to appear. The further apart they are, the lighter that is going to appear. Scrumbling is very similar to stippling in that instead of dots, you're creating these kind of scribbly C marks. Again, the closer those marks are together, the darker that tone is going to appear. As you move those little C marks further apart, they appear lighter. So that is our oil pastel technique worksheet template that I filled out for you. Feel free to rewatch, pause any of these techniques, and I hope you use them in your artwork.